Hi folks, I'm Betsy Sue and this is my story. Today I want to talk about this painting I created called The Refiner's Fire. And this piece has been one of my favorites. The story of how it was created is really precious to me, and I'd like to share that with you today. So I first felt an inspiration, a call, whatever you want to name it, to paint. And I was super excited. I was like, I know I need to paint. I can feel this within me. So I started to do that. And a lot of my pieces are finger painted. So nothing super structured, just kind of going with the flow and enjoying the whole process. So I had myself all set up and I started mixing the colors and I started working on the canvas, and my anticipation started to turn into frustration because I was like, these colors are getting really muddy and, just really muddy. And at one point I got so frustrated, I just rubbed the paint that was on the canvas all over it, and now the canvas was black. So now I am not happy. I go over to the sink, I wash my hands, I'm like, I was so excited, and I'll look at the mess. So I felt like Holy Spirit was still coaxing me back to the painting, and I'm literally standing at the sink going, no, it's a big mess. It's just a big mess. And I guess I heard that one wrong, and I'm gonna let it go. But I walked back in to the room that I was painting, and I'm looking, and I'm like, I only have like a little bit of red and a little bit of green left on the tubes, and oh well, whatever, I'll just use what's left. So I started working again, and lo and behold, what happened was this. And I looked at it and I thought, wow, that's really cool. It's like this really crazy fire that's moving across the canvas. So I was super excited. I went from glum to woohoo within an hour. So I hang the piece up. I'm super excited. And what I didn't know is that this piece was actually depicting what was going to happen in my life. So life was going on as it usually is, the good, the bad, and the routine of it all. And then suddenly I went into a season where things just unraveled. And no matter how I tried to gain control, to pull it back, to salvage everything, my best efforts were not. They just were not enough. And this season went on. It went from months to years. And I remember a passage in Lamentations that basically says, I remember walking into the utter darkness and the taste of gravel and the taste of ashes in my mouth and the hitting bottom. And that's where I was. And I went through so many moments of despair, of hopelessness, of feeling terrified that, I just couldn't keep, what if I couldn't keep my faith alive? And then a passage in Timothy talks about that when we are faithless, he remains true because he can't deny himself. And, that was a really aha moment for me, that like my faith comes from him anyway. So that brought me comfort. But it just went on, and I just wasn't seeing any relief. And I finally came to a point where, in acceptance lie peace. And I came to a point of acceptance, and I was like, I'm just going to sit with God. I'm just going to be with him in this fire and sit with him and hope in him and wait on him. And in that process, life circumstances, did they change? No, they really didn't. Some actually got worse. But what began to change was he began to change me. And in Isaiah, it says, when you walk through the waters, you will not drown. When you walk through the fire, you will not be consumed. And I experienced walking through the fire and not being consumed. But the amazing thing is what he did consume in the fire were things that were not serving me. There were misconceptions about who he was as God. There were lies and there were deceptions that had they held me back, and they were detrimental to my walk as a Christian. So the fire did not consume me, but it consumed those things that were of no earthly or spiritual value to me. And God knew that, and he wanted to rid me of those things and walk me into a place of freedom. And if the Son has set you free, you're free indeed. So that was my story around how the painting was created, and the part it played in my walk. The second piece that was just really cool was one day I had it hanging in my kitchen, and I had some girlfriends over, and one of them said, "Did you know there's a man's face in the fire?" And I said, "No, really, there's no face. This is a finger painting." And she said, "No, there's a face." So I'll point it out to you. I don't know if you can see it on the video, but it's the upper portion of a man's face, an eyebrow, an eyebrow, an eye, and the bridge of a nose. And this was just one more level of how God spoke to me through this piece, that indeed that the fire is actually burning out the impurities and conforming us into the image of Christ, so his image can be seen through our fires, can be seen in us, and then can be seen in others around us. So I just want to share that as an encouragement. I know there's many fires we can walk through in life, and I know they're painful. I know they're no fun. I know when we're walking through the fire, a lot of times we can't see the purifying process that we're going through, but I just want to assure anyone walking through that fire that God is not trying to consume you. He is trying to help you, to set you free of things that are holding you back. They're holding you from seeing who he truly is as a good God, a kind Father, and good and only good. So I hope this is an encouragement to you, and I hope you enjoyed the story of the refiner's fire. Thanks for listening.